This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Tournament Oasis for Game 1 of this best of 5. We are in the quarterfinals of the April Strike Tournament, sponsored by Ilhun, Svensson, Shanks, and Hulk. So big thanks to those 4 people for sponsoring the prize pool for this event. In the north, playing the Steel Talons, in the color cyan, this is Dimitri. And in the south, the green, the GDI, this is Green Zero. Green Zero versus Dimitri in a best of 5, but do not fear, this is the upper bracket. So as we check out all 4 of these quarterfinals, half of these players will be moving on to the semis, and the other half will get another chance down in the lower bracket. And we'll check out the lower bracket at a later time. But we have got a matchup we don't see very often. I'm very excited for Steel Talons versus GDI. GDI, super common. We see them all the time. For the last, the entirety of Kane's Wrath history, GDI has been a powerhouse faction for sure. And Green Zero is certainly a GDI specialist. Dimitri versus Green Zero. I would have swore that I've watched this matchup several times in tournaments. I went back to try and find how many times these guys had actually faced off against each other. And it turns out not a lot that I could find in tournaments, at least not the tournaments that I've seen. But in 2022, these guys had 2 face-offs. One in the Champions League, in which Dimitri went 5-1 against Green Zero. And then just like a week or 2 before that, Green Zero beat Dimitri 3-1 in my tournament, the Christmas Comes Late tournament. So these 2 guys haven't really seen each other in tournament play, as far as I know, since 2022. And they both were able to take a series. And I believe Green Zero got the earlier win, and then Dimitri got the later win. They also faced each other in a 3v3 finals sometime in the past, but obviously 3v3, when you've got 2 other players alongside of you, doesn't really line up with a 1v1. I do love that we're kicking it off with Steel Talons versus GDI. Both of these players are going to be reasonably comfortable. Dimitri, I have no idea how much Steel Talons he has been playing. We have seen him bust out quite some good GDI matches, you know, GDI Zocom, Steel Talons matches in the last year. But how much is he really going to be able to take Steel Talons to the latest of the game versus GDI? That, I don't know. He might struggle as the game progresses on. And Green Zero just has perhaps some better tools as the game advances. MRT's coming back in. They backed off. That was a fake out because they are actually back. And this is 4 MRTs loaded with rockets, so they should get at least 1 harvester kill. They might get 2 harvester kills, and that was a harvester full of Tiberium as well. So Dimitri fakes out Green Zero and manages to get a kill. But on the other side of the map, Green Zero is looking for the counterattack. He's looking for the cross map, and he is going to be met by essentially an equal number of pit bulls. The War Factory is already up and running at the natural expansion, so Dimitri leaves no opportunity for Green Zero to sneak in and do some damage. 1 harvester down on the Green Zero side of the map, 0 harvesters down on the Dimitri side of the map. Pit bulls all lined up, and this stage of the game between Steel Talons and GDI looks pretty darn similar no matter which side of the map you are turning to. But if we start seeing Titans, if we start seeing Behemoths, if we get into Sonic Emitter Wars, well, only one of the players can play that one. Second Harvester does go down, and it's not often that you see someone out Pitbull Green Zero, but it's happening now. Harvester going to take another volley, still survives, pulled back just in time. Trading Pitbull against Pitbull will eventually favor Green Zero, but right now, Dimitri has the superior numbers. Refinery gets powered down. Not Pitbulls, but Predator tanks going to be pulling over to the left side of the map. They're going to be trying to defend that main base location. Natural expansion has been largely untouched. since the MRTs rolled in there a couple minutes ago. And Steel Talons, Schmiel Talons, you might as well not even be playing Steel Talons if you're going for this many Pit Bulls. Tier 2 only just now deployed. Whoa, that's crazy late from Green Zero. I'm not entirely sure why it is so late. I guess he was just prioritizing army and defense over his tech. We already saw the tier 3 was completed. It's already researching something for it actually might be mortar shells considering how many mortars Pit Bulls Dimitri has. So mortars have been upgraded now, and Dimitri finished his tier 3 upgrade only a little bit after Green Zero finished his tier 2, and they delete a refinery. It's been a while since I've seen a Pit Bull go for the kill, and what's better than a refinery kill would be an MCV kill. Unfortunately, Green Zero does not find it there, as the MRTs are able to successfully defend against that small attack. Third base is ready to go for Dimitri. He's got the kill on the refinery at the natural expansion. He's picked off 2-3 harvesters of Green Zero at this point in the game, and now he's coming back in for more. He's going to be going for that barracks, knocks it down immediately, and all of these harvesters, they may be ready to go, but they have no place to refine. Tier 3 finishes up, orcas show up, but one orca goes down, and the Pit Bulls might end up doing more friendly fire than anything else. Mammoth tanks rolling in, and Dimitri just feels like he is running circles around Green Zero in game number 1. Green Zero is going to have to steel himself and get ready for game number 2, because this is going to be a hard fight to come back from. MRTs camping the main base, Mammoths and Pit Bulls sharking around the natural expansion. Predator tanks are way out of sorts, and their railguns have just finished up. If Predator tanks versus Mammoths wasn't a big enough mismatch, well, that will be the end of game number 1 as Dimitri smashes Green Zero, but it's only game number 1. It's not the end of the series. Does game 1 set the tone for this series, or is it just a quickly forgotten memory that will be wiped away by game number 2? Well, to some degree, game 1 is going to be repeated, because we have, for the second time in this tournament, GDI versus Steel Talons. Not a matchup I thought we were going to repeat. This is R21H, by the way. I do want to mention that as I'm recording this, R22 is already out. This is the previous patch. So, if you see this, the reverse move bug is not fixed in this version of the game. That aside, I did not think we were going to be seeing a repeat of this matchup. Dimitri must be feeling very confident. He did take an extremely convincing game number 1 off of Green Zero. Absolutely demolition. But GDI is historically the stronger faction for a reason, and I'm not sure that picking Steel Talons 2 games in a row is going to yield the same results. We shall see. But welcome to Badland Hills. I've never seen this map before. This is a brand new map. Just looking at the layout, I think I am liking it. Lots of little paths and choke points. You know, obviously some of them aren't much of a choke point. They're quite wide. Lots of these are quite open. But you got a little bit of breakup on the terrain. You've got EMP control centers in the north and south. Defensive turrets as well. A couple of Tiberium spikes for each player. And Mutant Hovel just for good measure. Main base looks fairly normal. Maybe it's a little bit scrawny on the Tiberium field, but your natural expansion, that is a big boy natural expansion. That puppy probably requires 3 refineries, 7 harvesters, and then after that, it gets a little bit scrawny again as you have 2 extremely close third bases, literally one horizontal, or one vertical screen height away with blue Tiberium in the middle. So it is close quarters combat. But your main base and your natural, they are on opposite sides of the map. Very, very nice red zone map, but will it even matter? Because if it's just going to be Pit Bull spam, Well, we know how that worked out in game number 1, but game number 2, it feels like Green Zero has his foot on the gas a little bit more. MRT is going to be rolling into Green Zero's natural expansion. Pitbull is going to be sharking around Dimitri's natural expansion. It's only Harvesters at the main base for right now. Dimitri is delaying that refinery at the natural expansion by some amount, and Green Zero is doing the same, but that is because he went command post, he went Orcas, and these MRTs are not quite matched versus the Orcas. Nice eject there by at least one of the rocket squads. That's going to be a couple of extra rockets that get fired out. That's going to be an additional dead Orca. That Orca may not have actually died if those rockets did not get ejected. Those extra couple of shots can make all the difference, but now this MRT attack has been completely shut down, and on this side of the map, it's going to be a heavy Harvester taking a heavy amount of damage as the Pitbulls show up and get pushed away. Green Zero could have dived on that Harvester if he so chose, but he did not want to sacrifice the Pitbulls necessary to get the kill, so he decided to cut his losses early, break away, and hopefully find another opportunity somewhere else. And that may just be the main base. 5, 6 Pitbulls here, ready and waiting. A 7th one is here as well. Green Zero was pretty much matched Pitbull for Pitbull, but Dimitri has production. However, that was 2 good volleys from Green Zero, cleaning out one Pitbull, then another. Harvester takes a bit of damage. Dance has begun, and the dance steps will be executed well by both partners. So far, Green Zero up 3 Pitbull kills on the right side of the map, up a couple of MRT kills on the left side of the map. He's only lost the 1 Orca. Pitbull's still sharking around. No, it's actually going to be Orcas sharking around on the south side of the map. They're going to be going for the trade versus the Pitbulls. They're going to get the guaranteed kills rather than trying to dive on the Harvesters. Okay, I thought they were going for the safer thing. Green Zero ends up losing an Orca regardless. Orca Strike comes in, does tag that refinery, and Pitbulls at the main base are ready to go. Behind all of this, Green Zero can expand freely. A little bit of a swap from game number 1. Dimitri was confidently in the driver's seat, able to control the pace and the location of every single fight. Green Zero's main, Green Zero's expansion. This game, the shoe is on the other foot. The Orcas giving Green Zero some amount of mobility, and they have not won the game for him yet, but they are actually allowing him to steal all of that blue Tiberium from the middle of the map, and on top of that, he's doing it after his main base is empty. So he's completely harvested that main base, and now he's stealing 3 loads of Tiberium from the blue in the middle of the map, completely taking all of the blue away from Dimitri, not giving him an opportunity to grab any of that for himself. And again, that just adds some extra life to these Harvesters, which were basically out of a job after that main base dries up. So Green Zero is going to have a huge cash boost coming in the next couple of minutes as these Harvesters all unload. Another Pitbull does go down on the Dimitri side of the map. This feels like a game of paper cuts. Finally, Dimitri does manage to trade one back, but he is not getting the same kind of wins that he was in that game number 1. AA battery has been deployed. Pitbulls are going to get at least a couple of volleys off. Oh, the damage is spread. One more shot. The damage lands. 1 Orca ends up going down. Green Zero, he's kept those Orcas around. He keeps reproducing them, but they just can't survive. They don't last very long, but they do keep the fight on Dimitri's side of the map. This is a lot of Pitbulls from Green Zero rolling in. He's bringing a couple of Zone Troopers as well. The drop pods are going to give Green Zero so much more firepower than he had a moment ago, and so much more life versus these Pitbull mirror wars. 2 Harvesters extremely low on health. Shockwave artillery going to be firing off. The RNG is going to be pretty good. It catches 1 Harvester, but it misses the other. RNG lands on both of the buildings. The shells lock down the production, but not much more than that. Green Zero is going to be trading a lot for these Harvester kills. He gets 1 Harvester, and he's looking for another 4 Harvesters. So low on health, and Green Zero just cannot find the kills. GG gets called. Dimitri doesn't want to play it out. Wow, that definitely would have been an uphill fight for Dimitri, but it would have been a fight that he still could have taken, but he was not interested in that. And I do want to see, yeah, that resource graph relatively even for most of the game. Green Zero ahead a little bit, and then shoop, shoop, as he gets all of that blue Tiberium, and he is ahead and ahead and ahead. And then Dimitri flatlining right near the end there. And that is where his economy completely crashed. And that's where his ability to fight on from that point would have been reduced. It would have been an uphill climb. So he cut out of that game maybe a little bit early, but the writing was on the wall as Dimitri heads into game number 3 with an even map score versus Green Zero. And we have a series on our hands. It is not going to be a 3-0 one way or the other. It is going to be another Steel Talons versus GDI match. Green Zero and Dimitri, they both have a win, they both have a loss with this same matchup, and yet they're still deciding to keep going with it. Triple Rifleman onto the right side of the map for Green Zero. It looks like Triple Rifleman onto the left side of the map for Dimitri. They may not be in a mirror matchup, but they're about as mirrored as you can get. Where's the second engineer? Green Zero may have forgotten his second engineer. I don't know if he didn't realize there was a tip spike there or if that was an intentional thing. But, well, Dimitri is going to be extremely similar to Green Zero. But as the game goes on, tick, 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 that extra spike is going to add up over time. Doesn't make a big difference right now. Won't see a difference for a couple of minutes. And Green Zero may actually have a faster second refinery. Although Dimitri has more income per minute. So Dimitri is slightly ahead in every sense, but only slightly. Natural expansions on the way for both players. They got their MCVs all packed up, heading over to that natural. Green Zero's got the scouting squad inside of Dimitri's base, and he is going to dig that foxhole. He does have a second scouting squad ready to confirm the natural expansion. It looks like Dimitri, it doesn't quite have the same level of information on his opponent. Barracks comes in. Rocket squads? All right. So do we see the same MRT, 4 MRT attack group that we have seen in the previous games? Green Zero is betting on it. Natural expansion into the command post immediately for Green Zero. Dimitri going to be stealing this blue Tiberium extremely early. He gets 1 load of blue Tiberium, and I guess, you know, it's probably not worth it, but at least he's only sending 1 harvester there, and at least he is going for an attack to cover this as well. Command post gets sold off, so all of that cash can go into orcas, and Green Zero has a decent amount of pit bulls ready as well. Dimitri should know that this was spotted, so if Dimitri is expecting this to get a lot of damage done, well, then that is on him. Instead, Dimitri backs off. He's actually going to just pull everything back and say, you know what, we're going to find a different angle, we're going to find a different day, we are not going to commit fully into this attack right now. Green Zero crossing the map. Pitbull v. Pitbull. The classic war of GDI. You got a GDI mirror matchup. Well, it's kind of a Pitbull mirror matchup. So, depending on what Green Zero does with these orcas, he's either massively behind on economy, or he can even it up quite nicely. Orcas get caught, they get pushed away. Green Zero gives up. He doesn't want to lose the orcas, so he doesn't dive. And that's one of those things where you have to be really confident you're going to get the kills if you're going to dive on the orcas into that much pressure. When you see MRTs and pit bulls that far out front, You have to be really confident that you're going to get the kills because those orcas are not coming home. So Green Zero does the safe thing. He backs off with the orcas. He's going to wait for another moment, try and find a better time. Bit of pressure at the natural, and this is what Green Zero was hoping to do. Okay, it didn't quite work out. The orcas flying over the middle of the map does give Dimitri a lot of intel, and he knows that they haven't returned to base. They're still burning out of the sky. They are not necessarily back at home getting healed up. They're just waiting for their opportunity to strike. I don't know how much Dimitri was intentionally baiting Green Zero into this build. Green Zero had the scout inside of Dimitri's base. Dimitri goes for the MRT build, knowing exactly how Green Zero responded to it last time, and then he doesn't actually go for it. It was a little bit of a fake out. Ooh, Dimitri also catches 2 of the orcas, all 3 of the orcas. The orca strike doesn't land, and that is exceedingly rare. Usually 2 of the orcas get through at least, sometimes just 1. But to see none of the orcas get through is a very rare thing indeed. Dimitri catches all of them. He is free farming on his expansion. He's up 10k in total resources gathered so far this game. But this is where the fight begins. 2 MRTs down right at the beginning. Dimitri has 10k more of pit bulls, more of tech, and more of upgrades. The orcas have amounted to nothing so far in this game. They're getting chased away for the 3rd or 4th time away from the main base of Dimitri. And Dimitri is going for the 3rd expansion. He's got a good chunk of his field harvested up. Green Zero doesn't quite have the same amount of Tiberium in his coffers. And Dimitri has played this one almost entirely on his half of the map. Defense, defense. That is what he has been going for. And now he's played it out well enough that he's ahead on tech, he's ahead on army. And Green Zero, he's got his own tier 3, he's got his own 2nd war factory, now catching up to where Dimitri is. But can he, catch up and overcome? That's a freebie for Dimitri. Gets the rest of the orcas, and for now the airfield will remain. There's nothing to head home. There's no aircraft to return to base. Just a hammerhead floating around there somewhere, possibly just picking off infantry one by one. Mortars versus no mortars. One of these groups of pit bulls can delete buildings super fast. The other one can't. And, well, I think that's the end of the aircraft. Green Zero finds himself in a remarkably similar situation to game number 1, and he has to try and find a way to play out from this position for the rest of the game. I honestly thought he might try and go for Dimitri's 3rd and do the old base push, like maybe try and go multi-MCV and base push and just hope that he could make it work, because he's playing the long game, but he's 2 refineries behind. By the time he gets his MCV deployed and starts his refinery, Dimitri already has 2 refineries working away at his 3rd. And Dimitri can pretty easily take the blue in the middle of the map. Would love to see Green Zero try and steal that away, considering Dimitri has mammoth tanks, he has railguns, he has mortars, he has the better pit bull numbers. He's got sort of everything going for him. Green Zero needs something to get an advantage back. That's the Space Command uplink. How much cash do we have in the bank? Not a lot. Dimitri might have to cancel a couple of things to call in some support powers. We'll see if he wants to spend the cash there or just wait for the future. Harvester gets pulled off the line, but that is the least of his worries right now. Green Zero drops the Sonic Emitter, which is going to get an amazing shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pit bulls annihilated in a single blast, and that's some value. But it's not the end of the road, because on the other side of the map, count them, 1 mammoth tank for every pit bull to roll over the base of Green Zero. It's not undefended, but 1v6 is not a fair fight. It might be a base trade, and that might be the best that Green Zero can hope for in this situation. No, he's got the backstab mammoth on the other side of the map. Green Zero snuck a mammoth tank out into the 3rd base of Dimitri. And we'll see if Green Zero is able to make anything happen. He's rolling into the maw of death. That is not somewhere that you want to be if you're a mammoth tank. Not fighting toe-to-toe, gun-to-gun, tread-to-tread against Dimitri's numbers. Dimitri is going to roll on out, and Green Zero's attempt at a base trade is not going to work. He does still have the mammoth over at the third, but that is a slow killing process. One mammoth tank versus everything that Dimitri has, and Green Zero just needs to steel himself for game number 4, because this may not be over, but it is over as Dimitri rolls into Green Zero's third base. Harvesters are the most plentiful unit on the map for Green Zero, and I cannot believe that Dimitri is letting this happen. Harvester after harvester going down. He has more than enough firepower to end it all on the right side of the map, but he's still letting the units fall on the left side, and that's the GG as Green Zero taps out and heads into game number 4. And game 4 will send us to Twilight City. One more chance for the green GDI in the north, Green Zero, to even things up. I'm glad to be kicking off with a best of 5 that is not just a 3-0. Dimitri is hoping to make it a 3-1. Green Zero is hoping to send us into the ace match. But the one thing that hasn't changed is the matchup. Dimitri still playing Steel Talons, and we've seen like one Sonic emitter this entire time, so it kind of doesn't even matter that Sonic emitters aren't available to Steel Talons. Dimitri just hasn't been playing that kind of style. There are other players who play GDI, a very base push heavy Sonic emitter Marv multi-MCV Juggernaut style, and for those people, not having Sonic emitters is a very big part of the equation that is missing. But we haven't seen heavy reliance on Marvs. We haven't seen any of that kind of gameplay at all. So it's been very different games that it honestly isn't a big impedance to Dimitri that he's playing Steel Talons. And for now, he is keeping it. He also hasn't really been going Titans. We haven't even seen one. We've seen the MRTs, and those are unique. But other than that, this is remarkably similar to just being a GDI and playing out the way that Dimitri has decided to play this out. Green Zero sticking with that classic GDI. He is not interested in switching it up. Neither one of these players going for Nod or switching up to Screen, nothing like that. It's GDI versus Steel Talons. And I mean, Dimitri, maybe he'll end up garrisoning some units into his heavy harvesters, but maybe the main reason he is choosing Steel Talons is those heavy harvesters. He wants the extra damage, he wants the extra hit points rather, the extra armor on those harvesters rather than having the guns. He's just not as interested. But for now, things are going to be developing relatively normal. What is this? Okay, it's just a power plant and refinery. Now, of course, Green Zero does have this foxhole keeping an eye on him. And nope, it's War Factory into Refinery. It is very normal for both players. We are not seeing any kind of airfield build. We are just seeing a very normal, macro-oriented game for both players. Barracks comes up at the natural expansion for Green Zero, and he gets the confirmation scout sending his rifleman in to the natural expansion of Dimitri. Both players keeping an eye on each other. Both players playing very standard, very normal. Perhaps a return to game number 1. We don't have that kind of mix-up that we had in game number 2 or 3, and we'll just see how it goes. Armory is here. Decent number of rocket squads. Comp armor probably coming up for those rocket squads. Give them some extra hit points. And hey, check this out. We've got ourselves a Titan blasting away at that Rifleman squad. Maybe he'll go for the crush as well. Reinforcements being called in. Wow. Okay. Green Zero is either very much expecting pressure from Dimitri right about now, or he is ready to move on out. And this is a vehicle and base killing force. This is rockets and predator tanks. If you build 20 riflemen, he is not going to have a way to deal with that. Of course, he will just crush it with the tanks, but he is expecting vehicles and he is expecting buildings from Dimitri. No AP ammo from Dimitri, so these watchtowers are a little bit weak, and they are not targeting down the rocket squads, at least not initially. One harvester down. Dimitri not going to be able to knock that down. 2, 3 Wolverines are here, but again, no AP ammo for this Steel Talons player, at least not just yet. Refinery down to about half health. A lot of the rocket squads are getting chipped away at. More Wolverines going to be showing up, and for now, this attack has been pushed back. Green Zero gets a harvester, backs on up. Doesn't want to overstay his welcome, and it doesn't look like the pit bulls ever swung in. No additional firepower, no counterattack, no cross-mapping from Dimitri. Green Zero goes for the command post, got the upgrade started, tier 3 possibly on the way. No, he goes into airfield once again. And if this... Oh, this might be the perfect Orca switch. Okay, never mind. Dimitri has his own airfield. He may scout this out. He may sense it coming. But Orcas, as a follow-up to this, would be fantastic. Green Zero has conditioned Dimitri into building all of these vehicles. Titans are good versus what Green Zero has. Wolverines are good versus what Green Zero has. And now these Orcas can absolutely clean house. Green Zero loses that squadron of units. He's going to lose this squad as well. AP ammo has finished up, but these Predator tanks are going to trade out with the Wolverines as much as they can. No additional Harvester kills, but now it is up to Green Zero to stop this attacking force from Dimitri. Handful of Titans, couple of Wolverines as well. Ooh, one of these Titans extremely low on health, incredibly low on health. This rifleman just needs to step forward and get the kill. Hammerheads, I think, are focusing down that Predator tank. A bit of a mistake there. Hammerheads should have it. They were going to sacrifice their life. Might as well trade out with the rocket squads instead of going for that. Orca's going to be getting caught by these pit bulls. 4 pit bulls on top of the Orcas, and the Orca strike comes in. It damages the pit bulls, but not enough to actually kill them. Overkills on one of those pit bulls, but it won't really matter. There's still 3 pit bulls left, and they're going to kill another Orca on the deck. Green Zero needs to make something happen. He's packed along these slingshots, and both players in a comfortable spot financially, but not where they want to be army-wise. Wolverine's going to be stepping forward. A couple of them getting picked off one by one. These rocket squads getting some free shots off, but it's a bit of a surround coming in here. The Hammerheads just standing by, not actually doing anything. They're so scared of those slingshots that they're not willing to do anything. And Green Zero's last Predator tanks fall. The Orcas would have been an amazing help at this point, but they just weren't able to get there. 2 Harvesters in the middle of the map, going to get targeted down by Dimitri. He will find 1 kill. No kills for Dimitri, but a 3rd Harvester shows up to the middle of the map, and this guy will go down. There we go. He gets eliminated, but 2 Harvesters did manage to escape. Once again, these rocket squads finding some weakened units, able to drop them extremely quickly. 1 Hammerhead down. The Wolverines trying to cut through those rocket squads. Predator tanks trying to close in on those Wolverines and even up the score. If the Rockets could deal with the Titans, if the Predators could deal with the Wolverines, but neither one ends up going down, and that Harvester going back for that blue Tiberium. Dimitri falling apart here at the natural expansion of Green Zero. He's got units and squads scattered all over the battlefield, but it just doesn't matter. Green Zero died on the doorstep of Dimitri, and now Dimitri is dying on the doorstep of Green Zero. Both players going for their 3rd. They have thrown their armies away, and the reset has happened. Predator tanks moving forward. Green Zero hoping to eke out an economic edge with the use of that blue Tiberium. 13k per minute for Green Zero, 11k per minute for Dimitri. These two players neck and neck on total economy, but Green Zero starting to pull ahead. Orcas at this base would be absolutely incredible, but Dimitri has kept those Orcas down for so long. The perfect time, the perfect moment in the game. Green Zero pooling the Orcas off to the right side. Harvesters completely undefended, ready to go down, and they are waiting for the moment. One Harvester down, a second Harvester waiting to refine, and a third Harvester full of Tiberium gets eliminated. Orca Strike gets called in as well. Green Zero slipping ahead on economy, just found 3 kills full of Tiberium. So much wasted cash that Dimitri will never realize. Orca Strike comes in, tags a fourth Harvester low on health. Orca's refueling, rearming, ready to go. There's no anti-air here for Dimitri. He's known about these Orcas for so long, and if he doesn't have the pit bulls here ready and waiting to go, the army is going to die, or the Harvesters are going to die. Pick your poison, because Green Zero does not have an antidote. The Orcas are going to have free reign on top of these Titans. 1 down, 2 down, and the pit bull shows up too little, too late. These Orcas may have lost their original home, but guess what? You can build a new one over here at the third. The Orcas finally come back. They find a Harvester on transition as well. And after loss in this game, Green Zero finally finds a win with the Orcas. He had to build 6 or 8 or 10 Orcas to get there, but he finally got there, and now he's moving forward. The attempted assault by Dimitri on the natural expansion of Green Zero was curbed. It was turned around. It was sent back to the base, and now Green Zero is putting his aggressive shoes on. He is ready to run over Dimitri's main and push on towards the natural. The third base is where the economy is. That's what really matters. But Green Zero is hoping to cut down the tech and the production of Dimitri. Airfield is exposed. War Factory is here. Tier 2, Tier 3, upgraded power plants. These are the things that Green Zero wants to destroy. And Dimitri is going to make his stand. He's going to need to stop this army before he loses everything. The army that he's got may not be enough. Mortar pit bulls are ready to go. Titans, Wolverines. But where's the watchtower line? Where's the build that just keeps coming to slow down the army? It isn't happening. Titans are here, but there's only 3 of them. Wolverines are outmanned and outgunned by the rockets. The Orcas aren't even needed to assist in this battle. Titans step forward, but the Titans get blasted. The Wolverines finally cutting through those rocket numbers, and the last Titan will survive. The Wolverines manage to slice and dice. Finally, Dimitri stops the attack, but he hasn't stopped the Orcas. They're ready to go. They're stronger, more boisterous than ever as 8 Orcas show up at the natural expansion. The Wolverines go down. The Titans go down. The AA batteries are too little, too late. Triple AA battery at the third base. Green Zero keeping the fight on the Dimitri side of the map the entire game long. Green Zero has kept Dimitri on his toes, and Dimitri, every time he steps forward, there is something to meet him. 6, 8 Orcas, whatever it is, Green Zero has an answer. Dimitri has been able to stop Green Zero every time, but Dimitri has never been able to actually cross the map. Finally, with the aggressive shoe on his foot, he's found 2 power plants. It is not the biggest victory here. Not really what you want to be killing off 13 minutes into a game. 13 minutes in, I got his power plants. Firehawks are here if they're loaded with anti-air missiles. That's not going to help you versus this army. The Wolverines are here. Can they cut down the rocket squads fast enough? There are Titans here. There are anti-air batteries, but guess what? The Orcas stayed home for this one. And the anti-air batteries, they're going to watch as this army gets demolished. Can the crush come through? The APCs drop the mines to stop the Titans. 2 Titans fall. The Wolverines get demolished, but the watchtowers are here to clean up the rest of the rockets, and once again Green Zero's attack falls flat. Rocket squads and APCs just ain't it, but it's once again enough to keep Dimitri on his side of the map, to stop Dimitri from crossing back over and doing anything to Green Zero. But Green Zero has now mined out his third base. He has to switch back to his natural. He has to switch back to his main base. And he has to try and pivot once again to find some way to deal with Dimitri. MCV on the move. Green Zero passes a Marv through the middle of the map. Pitbulls find a harvester, but the GG has been called. No decisive victory was won, but it's a death of 1,000 paper cuts for Dimitri. One attack after another. Green Zero always clipping the wings of Dimmy and never letting him advance. Both players incredibly close for most of that game, and in the end, Green Zero only up 7,000 in more resources than Dimitri. But those Orcas, they found their place late in the game. We've had our fun, but now it's time to get serious as we head to Tournament Highlands for the Ace match. We're locked 2-2. Who will get the final win of this series? The green GDI on the left side. Will it be Green Zero? Or will it be the purple Steel Talons on the right side? Will it be Dimitri? I don't know, but it does seem like there has been a bit of pacing difference between the Dimitri wins, which have been like very aggressive and overwhelming, and the Green Zero wins, where it felt like Dimitri just at some point was like, bleh. Maybe that game 1 was just an anomaly, but that was a that was the hardest win, and then that game 4 was just, I don't know what was going on for most of that game. But in the end, Green Zero won that war of attrition. Slightly better economy for slightly longer, and he did have the right strategic moves. Going for those Orcas at that time was absolutely perfect. Killing Dimitri's main base so that he could move his MCV there was also perfect. That was a nice way to round that out. And Dimitri was certainly on the back foot, but it wasn't like some impressive, overwhelming win or some domination where Dimitri just got clowned on. So the games feel a little bit weird. The scoreline, I guess it does make sense, 2-2, but the games haven't been that tremendous here in our first series. But I have really enjoyed getting to see Steel Talons. I was hoping to see a few more Titans and Behemoths, but Dimitri had a couple of good wins with Steel Talons, and a couple of the games, well, you know, they might as well be GDI mirror matchups. One Marv has emerged. No Juggernauts. One Marv, one Sonic Emitter. No Juggernauts, no Behemoths so far in this series. Not your typical GDI mirror matchup. Maybe Game 5 will be a return to the early 2020s matches where it's just a race to the late game. Although I guess those games did also start with Pitbull Wars, so you have like 800 Pitbulls, and then you just pretty much go into multi-MCV, Sonic Emitter, Juggernaut, Marv stuff after that. So maybe this game will follow that pattern. We do have Pitbull production coming out from both players. Not too big of a surprise here. The sort of question mark is, do we see an airfield before second refinery from either one of these players? It does not appear so from Dimitri. We might get a second war factory, but not so much a second airfield. Green Zero once again goes for the barracks, and it might be refinery into armory as the follow-up. He does also steal some blue Tiberium from the north. Dimitri possibly stealing some blue Tiberium from the south. And yes, it was a war factory. So third refinery into second war factory, and armory might be the follow-up for Green Zero. He keeps his barracks a lot around. He is continuing to pump out more and more rocket squads. If pit bulls show up, they're going to have a rude awakening one way or another. Another power plant from Dimitri to fill out his natural expansion. He's looking very stock standard so far. Pit bulls to guard the southern blue Tiberium. Green Zero will get overwhelmed if he sticks around. He decides to head deep onto enemy territory, and he might just get it. Nope, he doesn't make it to the field. I thought maybe he would get a couple of shots against these harvesters, but nope, he did not. He did not get close. So Dimitri will be able to secure that southern blue Tiberium field. More reinforcements coming in. Couple of shatterers as well. Oh, it's into an airfield. I thought it was straight to tier 3. I would have thought it was straight for mortars as well for Dimitri. But he goes command post. He goes into the airfield before tier 3. There's the armory. No tier 3 for Green Zero either at this point. Orca Strike comes in. One Orca gets knocked down. The other two manage to tag that Harvester. Take a bit of health off of that Harvester. AP ammo should be finishing up momentarily here for Dimitri. He's had that command post around long enough that it should be done. There it goes. Finishes up right there. Nicely timed, as once again Green Zero has a lot of rocket squads. Big infantry push. Not Predator tanks, not APCs. It's going to be Shatterers mixed in with the army. MCV moves out. Tier 3 is here. Railguns or mortars. Either one. It is moving slowly. It might be railguns. Either one will be a potential game changer here for the first big battle of the game. 6 minutes, no rush, these players decide. And of course, here on Tournament Highlands, you get 2 bases. Not quite for free, but they're reasonably easy to secure. And the third is where things get contested. Maybe you can survive off of your natural expansion and your blue Tiberium for a while, but eventually you will need that third base. Mortars have finished up. Pit bulls are ready to go. Hammerheads, watchtowers, and wolverines all ready to do battle. The rocket squad's getting thinned out, but the shatterers are here to blast down that armor. Hammerheads getting knocked out of the sky, but they're trading back for those rocket squads one by one. The shatterers pushing forward. The watchtowers fall, and for now, the mammoth tanks retreat. No war factory, no healing on the front line. This is a big problem for Dimitri. He has not dropped a war factory to tank for his MCV or to tank for his tanks. It's about the behemoths, and it's about buying time. As these shatterers have stopped attacking the MCV, it will survive. Meanwhile, Green Zero has his own problems on the other side of the map. 4 pit bulls go down to 1 blast from a shatterer. The infantry have been pushed back, but Green Zero wants to establish this as his foothold, as his beachhead on this map. Pit bulls get knocked down. Those mortars from Dimitri are superior, and still no war factory on the front line for Dimitri. It's a bit troubling that he doesn't have production here on the front line, but maybe he'll be able to knock down Green Zero's production and just keep that front line moving forward. Watchtowers get deployed. Ready for round 2. I don't think there's as many rocket squads this time, but there also aren't wolverines on the front line. Watchtowers get deployed. Behemoths are here in good numbers. 5 behemoths have a lot of fire that they can put out. Two of the behemoths getting jumped on. The Shatterers will get a couple of good shots. Reclamator Hub now onto the front line. Second behemoth will fall. The husks remain, and the Wolverine shows up for the cleanup. One last Shatterer gets a shot, but that is not going to be enough. Green Zero, his MCV under threat. The Pit Bulls have found the perfect angle. They were waiting on the north side of the map. Their mortars busting through that laser fence. Are they going to finish the job? They finally turn back around, and that's a dead MCV on the front line. Green Zero sells off that barracks, and there is no foothold. There is no beachhead. There is just a ticking clock for this Reclamator Hub to barf out that Marv, and then that Marv will vacuum up all of this Tiberium. That's the late game plan for Dimitri. No economy, no refineries, no harvesters, just a Marv. Green Zero has a clock that he is racing against. He has been the aggressor for the entirety of this game. Dimitri has just sat back and taken it. He went for mammoths, he went for behemoths, he went for the defense, and it's worked out so far. But will it work out any further? Shatter and Rockets trying to head into the main base. Rifleman gets cut down, and it's going to be Hammerheads, mass Hammerheads from Green Zero. He shows up, and he gets the Pit Bulls one after another, blasting them to smithereens. The Slingshot shows up, two of them at a time. The AA battery as well. And Green Zero gets pushed away. The surprise factor was there. Green Zero had the follow-up. He gets one of the slingshots. The other four slingshots are here, and they're now corralling the Hammerheads. One by one, the Hammerheads get eviscerated, cut down from on high. The command post had to be rebuilt, and Dimitri now has a comfortable lead over Green Zero. The GG comes out, and Green Zero taps out of game number 5. Dimitri will advance on to the upper bracket semifinal of the April strike. But that is not the end. We have more quarterfinals to get to. And we're on to Tournament Airstrip for game number 1 of our next best of 5. We have spawning as the pink Marked of Kane. This is Buka. And on the right side, playing the Cyan, playing the Traveler 59. This is Futurama. Futurama versus Buka. A matchup that certainly we've seen it at least sometime. Again, I'm trying to think, like, have we ever seen these guys play? It seems like I definitely should have, but I also could not tell you any particular time. Historically, Futurama has the upper hand. He is the favorite of these two. But I feel like in the last year or two, Buka will have these standout moments where he will go perhaps above and beyond what people expect of him. And that is what we are hoping to see here today. To rise to the occasion in this best of 5 and to stand up against Futurama, which is not going to be an easy task because Futurama is starting out this game on Traveler 59. Futurama, he can play any of the factions, but Scrin and Traveler 59 is where he seems to be most powerful. If he loses a game and he's playing Marked of Kane, GDI, something else, he will switch to Traveler 59 when it's like the lean forward, get serious mode. And here he is starting out as Traveler 59. So, like all top-level players, he can play other factions, but he has his preference. He has his strongest suit. And we are taking no prisoners right from the start. We are kicking it off with the Traveler 59 game from Futurama. Buka, he's going to have to bring his A game. Tournament Airstrip is a good one to start off on. Just due to the map design, we almost always get a big fight at the end, but the first couple of minutes of the game, not necessarily aggressive. Sometimes we do see some Tournament Airstrip games that just go crazy from beginning to end, but a lot of times we do have those couple minutes of build-up. We get ourselves towards that late game, and if it's going to be going greed mode, generally, you should bet on the Scrin player. They typically can get more Tiberium more quickly than any of the other factions. And I do appreciate the scouting that is happening from Futurama. He's not going greed mode blindly. He has been scouting his opponent quite consistently through this game. He's been keeping an eye on what Buka has been cooking up. No Descent Rush from Futurama, but we do have it here. Somewhere around the 4-minute mark, Fast Legs will finish up, and this portal is sticking around for now. Maybe the portal is for cultists and prodigies a little bit later. Maybe the portal is just for these disintegrators. Harvester going to be getting chased away from the middle of the map. A couple of Scorpion tanks will have no problem dealing with these Seekers. I imagine these Seekers were sort of a greed check, kind of a blind opportunity. If my opponent is doing something ultra greedy, maybe I have an opportunity to do a little bit of harassing there at their main base. But if they're not going super greedy, if they're not completely out of position, these 3 Seeker tanks are not really expected to do anything. Stasis Chamber is up. Tier 2. Tier 3 now finished up. 4 minutes 40. And Buka is going to have some potential multi-prong pressure to deal with. We'll see how he does. For now, he seems to be doing okay with it. He's pushed away the Descents. He's kept the Seeker tanks at bay. And that's actually 2 groups of Descents that he has dealt with. Shredder Turret in the south, Awakened Squad, and Buggies in the north. Mechapedes are now up. More Descents are out on the map. The first buggy does end up going down. The second buggy will be able to retreat. Scorpion tanks are here, but Mark of Kane, of course, don't get those laser capacitor upgrades. So the big mass of Scorpion tanks, they don't have that late game power spike like they do for Vanilla Nod. We don't have that kind of opportunity when you play Mark of Kane. So you need to mix something else into it. A couple of Tib Troopers could be the perfect antidote to this disintegrator problem. FaZe comes in, saves one of the Mechapedes, and will open up an opportunity for these Secret tanks to do some damage, but the damage they do is incredibly minimal. Secret tank's going to be pulling back. Tib Troopers going to try and stop them from retreating. The Tib Troopers are, of course, not going to be doing any of the damage, but they are going to slow down those units and let the Scorpion tanks deal with them. Buka has done a great job of controlling his half of the map. So far, all of the attention has pretty much been on the left side of the map, but that does not mean that is where things are going to end. Teleport forward, grabs one of the Scorpion tanks. The second Scorpion tank gets caught by the reverse move bug, and it's going to be Mine Drop. Magnetic Mines on top of the Mechapedes and instantly annihilates a bunch of their segments. And the Prodigy gets eliminated by those Venoms. Futurama did not show up to pay attention to his Prodigy. Buka controlling the middle of the map. He's got Tib Troopers, he's got Dozer, Blade, Scorpions, and he's got a radar jamming missile to lag things out. Disintegrator's going to be rushing into the middle of the main base, and they're only going to have one Awakened Squad to deal with so far. Double disruption tower for that stealth, but it's going to be the other side of the map where most of the units are. It's Mechapedes versus Scorpions, and do the numbers reflect how much damage needs to be done? Buka is going for a third after this. He's got the faster expansion, but he also finds himself not doing a lot of damage at the main base of Futurama. Futurama has found himself running in circles as these descents just don't find a lot of damage versus Buka. If he gets one harvester kill, that might be the biggest kill so far in this game, but he won't get the harvester kill. The harvester will manage to survive. Buka staying toe-to-toe with Futurama's economy. 7-8 minutes in, Futurama is only up 4K in total resources gathered. That really isn't all that much, considering it is Skrin versus Marked of Kane, or Traveler 59 versus Marked of Kane. Mechapeds coming back in. The Prodigy got sniped once, but can it get sniped a second time? Buka, does he have those late game upgrades that we're looking for? Tiberium Agitation, not necessarily going to be a problem. Where's our tier 3? Hey, Buka, you may have forgotten something. Is he just sticking with tier 2? He's hoping to go for just a pure tier 2 army. He does have the Secret Shrine. He did get the Fast Legs upgrade. So both of these players have very, very speedy boys running around the map. Mechapeds in the north. Venoms hunting that Prodigy, hoping to find it. The Prodigy dodging the shots one after the other. Plasma missile batteries, hoping to keep that Prodigy safe, at least for now. More Enlightened squads heading out. Beam cannons, Scorpion tanks, Enlightened, and Tiberium troopers. Not a typical unit combination, but one that I am happy to see in action here in game number 1 between these players. If this is what all the games are going to look like, then I am excited to see how these guys go head-to-head. Okay. Futurama just gives up. He backs up and he says, you know what? I don't need to fight you out here. Shard mechas are going to be going toe-to-toe with these Scorpions. One Mechapede is down. EMPs holding some of these other Mechapedes in place. Scorpion tanks going down one after another, but finally a second Mechapede falls. The 10th Scorpion tank, it seems, has been eliminated. I'm not sure that that actually worked out in the favor of Buka, but he has at least pushed away those Mechapedes, and he's kept them from going any further. He's kept them from getting any damage done in the base. Tier 3 is up. Redeemer is on the way. We finally get those late game upgrades that we've been looking for. Supercharged Particle Beam has finished up. Those Shredder turrets, those Venoms, those Enlightened are all a lot more powerful. EMP has landed, and that's rear armor, baby, on top of the Eradicator, but the phase comes in. The one-click save, no skill required for that. Just a little bit of timing. Futurama, he has given up on that frontline economy. He's decided that long-distance harvesting is the way to go. Mechapedes backing off from the front line. Enlightened, Tib troopers, Scorpion tanks. The army is looking very thin. And the pack does fall. Venoms, beam cannons. The combination can be extremely dangerous in the right hands. Mechapedes getting healed up. But this ground army from Buka just is not impressive. It's going to be a dance for him to get anything done versus late game Skrin versus the Eradicator Hexapod. The EMP will be extremely important, but also knocking down those packs. If you let the packs sit around and do their damage, they will burn through an army, they will knock down a base. They do a lot of damage when they go unattended. Beam cannons are good. Mechapedes are moving back out. The beam cannon venom combo can be very, very good. We'll just see if it actually can land the shots. Scorpions, Enlightened, and Tib troopers once again going to be showing up. Nice snipe on one of the Mechapedes. Second snipe coming in. Mechapede is EMP'd. third Mechapede goes down as well. That's 3 out of the 5 Mechapedes eliminated extremely quickly. Rage Gen fires off. It's going to be beam cannons trying to burn down that Eradicator Hexapod, and the pack's going to be doing a bit of damage to the Corruptors. 2 of the Corruptors end up falling, a third one down to half health, but the Redeemer gets eliminated. Those packs had nothing to stop them, and that Redeemer was way too far forward. The packs getting eliminated one after another. Nope, the Venoms get sniped. The beam cannons find themselves without any protector, and the Mechapedes have drawn the army away up and to the north. Where are the EMPs? They're dealing with Mechapedes up in the north. 1 EMP has landed, and the rest of the units are so far away that the Eradicator is going to be able to walk back home. Futurama and Buka clash and clash again, but very little is decided. Buka is out of cash. He's up 14K almost in total resources gathered. And a lot of that is still on the field, represented in these army units. But a lot of that has been burned through. He's got 3 grand in the bank. Another couple of Venoms going down, trying to hunt those Corruptors. Meanwhile, Futurama, he's got more than 10 grand worth of Tiberium right here on this field. So as long as he can keep this field under his control, he will be golden as we go into the next stage of this game. The slow harvest of this field is still harvesting it. And that is what Buka is hoping to stop with the next stage of this game. He's got himself Spectre artillery on the front line. He is just slowly but surely pushing Futurama back inch by inch. He is not going to go quietly into the night. He is going to prove that he has a right to be in the semifinals. Redeemer steps forward. That is a Redeemer without any kind of infantry garrisoned inside of it and without any support. A very dangerous thing indeed. Stealth field comes up. EMP will land, and that is rear armor Eradicator Hexapod. The Eradicator has support, but not a lot of Corruptors nearby. It's up to the packs to save it. No healing comes through, so it's just about denying that damage. 2 SAM sites are here, a Venom as well. And it's going to be perhaps a null fight here as both sides turn around. Not a lot traded back and forth, but Buka is at least denying free mining of this field. He's not letting the free mining happen. That disruption tower survives. That's kind of crazy that an Overlord's Wrath can't knock down those little buildings. Tip Vein detonation on top of the Eradicator. Big damage. The Corruptor dies as well. It's going to be Epic Unit versus Epic Unit, but a second Redeemer will fall. Once again, it dies alone. There may be units nearby, but they're never actually there when it counts. The beam cannons bouncing off the Venom, sniping another pack, but another Venom goes down. A fresh SAM site onto the front line, but there's nothing left on the ground. When the Redeemer is all you've got on the ground, you have to keep that Redeemer alive. Another pack goes down. Devastator warships are here. A fresh planetary assault carrier up to the front line. Beam cannons getting pushed back. Buka has mostly kept them alive. They've been ranking up. 4 of them are veteran. 1 of them is elite. We always want to see them go heroic. Get that final badge. Devastator warships are here, and once again, there's just almost nothing on the ground. If you don't have the Venoms, you can't clear the skies, and boy, oh boy, does Buka not have the Venoms. GG comes out, and Futurama gets the win, slow but sure. He finds the victory after 16 and a half minutes against Buka in game number 1. From Tournament Airstrip, we go to Tournament Highlands for game number 2, back on the Highlands. And the matchup is the same, but the factions are a little different. Switching it up to Blackhand, this is Futurama. And on the left side, going for GDI, this is Buka. Why this switch up? I don't entirely know. Highlands is, by some people, held to be a good nod map, and we've talked about that a number of times before. But Futurama is also a good Scrin player, so he could definitely play Scrin well versus GDI on this map. But he's feeling Blackhand is the better option, and of course, we always hope to see Purifying Flame. We love it. Operations Center right there at a minute 25. We love to see a Flame Rush from now and again. We'll see if Buka is ready for it. He has got himself some vision that he needs to identify. Oh, he's seen pretty deep into enemy territory, so he's got exactly as much information as he needs. He sees the Black Hand Squad. He sees the Flame Tank. He has got pretty much perfect intel on this right from the beginning. He didn't see the Operations Center go down, but he did see the Flame Tank emerging from that War Factory. So he knows the game, he knows the risks, and he is going to be sending off one of his harvesters to the south side. So we'll see if he makes it back home with that blue Tiberium or not. 2 attack bikes going to be trying to find the pit bulls, and well, they're going to back off for now. They've already taken a little bit of damage, so Futurama is concerned about them. And Buka gets there. He's going to go for the crush. Yep, goes for the crush on the Black Hand Squad. Nicely done. Gets the kill with that harvester. And this, just double, triple, quadruple confirms that might be a dead MCV. You only brought 1 Predator tank, and he's attacking the Cabals. He's supposed to be shooting that Flame Tank. Tib Spike comes up, but this Flame Tank isn't done yet. He's maybe down below half health, but so is this MCV. So low, it goes down. The refinery comes up, and the MCV goes down. The harvester as well, extremely low on health. Well, he had perfect knowledge, and it still didn't work out. Futurama delayed his second refinery for quite some time, but he's not delaying his second War Factory as he gets a barely viable number of harvesters out onto the map, and then he's like, it is bike buggy time, baby. We'll see what we can do. A little blue Tiberium here, a little blue Tiberium there. But an MCV rebuild at 350 is not what anyone wants. Oh, and that refinery didn't even go online. Predator tank goes down. I think the harvester... Oh, no! Oh, that really sucks. So the harvester is either back here at the main base or it got eliminated. In which case, you just have a building that is sitting there doing nothing. And that is not great for Buka. Refinery going to be getting targeted. Futurama won't even let that stand, down to half health. The attack bike's going to be going for it. Watchtower does get deployed. Pitbulls will respond as well. Buka low on power for just a moment there and is going to have more and more units to contend with. But Futurama at least has his own refinery. He's not selling his MCV, going all in after that. Buka might have a moment to breathe, but he needs to push these bikes back. He needs to reclaim this space and get his feet back under him. It is not a good start to the game, but, technically you still can come back from this. It might be very, very, very difficult, but you still can fight it out, and it seems like that is what Buka is wanting to do. MCV is there. He's just working off of the build radius of his natural expansion. Those refineries are quite close together. They might survive a catalyst missile. It's hard to say for sure. They are close together, and they might both get nuked a little bit later in this game, which would be adding insult to injury. Tier 2 is up, command post is running, and AP ammo is on the way. So Buka has stabilized. And he's also 3K up in total resources gathered. He's actually harvested more than Futurama. Futurama, I think, has more harvesters overall, though. So as this game goes on longer, Futurama is going to have a bigger and bigger economic boom. And of course, Buka has spent a lot of his cash defending and rebuilding rather than building army units and taking the fight to Futurama. Bike Buggy going to be stepping forward. Doesn't quite get the APC. Hand of Nod on the front line. Operations Center is back up and running. It's going to be a decoy army just to waste a couple of shots of Buka and cause some more mayhem in his army. Couple of APCs going down. AP Ammo has at least finished up. They turn their rear armor to this army, and Futurama gets a couple of extra shots in to clear out these units. Bikes coming back in. They're able to pop those APCs one after another, and I think Buka was hoping to have a bit more space to be able to deploy his MCV and these watchtowers before Futurama was on top of him, but he will not get that extra space. Rocket Squad's firing from a distance. The Black Hand members are not taking part in this fight, and that is good for Buka. He needs to slow this game down, draw it out, make it take a little bit longer. He doesn't need more flames on his MCV, and for now, Futurama is just letting the rockets do the talking. He's not trying to close the distance and go for any kind of aggressive play. Well, the question has been answered, and the answer is perhaps the death knell for Buka. It was already a bad situation, but when a bad situation goes to worse, it's just not much you can do. Buka's gonna fight it out. He's going double obelisk, and there is not much he can do against that with such weapons as he had. APCs just are not the answer, and Futurama was ready to go more and more and more. So that will do it for game number 2. Futurama now has a very commanding lead of this series. We're back on Tournament Oasis. Get your bingo cards out and get ready to throw them away, because I can pretty much guarantee that none of you had Zocom versus Steel Talons on your bingo card. Who knew that in the quarterfinals we would be getting Zocom Buka versus Steel Talons Futurama on Tournament Oasis? An excellent battleground for these two to go head-to-head with these GDI sub-factions. Not a matchup we see very often, and yet we do see it every now and again. We do love to see the sub-factions battling it out. Traveler 59 versus Reaper 17, Marked of Kane versus Black Hand, and of course, Steel Talons versus Zocom. Sometimes it looks just like the core faction mirror matchup, but sometimes we do get to see the differences of how things work out. Buka, of course, the big thing that he's missing is juggernauts, or in this case, behemoths. He has none of that ground-based artillery. You kind of have to make firehawks, hammerheads, orcas work as your artillery when you play Zocom. You have to pivot the way that you're working, and if you are not ready to do that, then, well, you're going to have a bad time. Meanwhile, Futurama, he's, of course, got some limited infantry options. He doesn't have those typical APCs. And, well, behemoths, they're pretty good regardless. I guess no sonic emitters, but that isn't necessarily a huge problem for Futurama. We'll see how these players decide to play this one out. For now, they're doing the GDI thing of getting a rifleman in your opponent's base, setting up a foxhole, and just trying to be annoying. Futurama has the scout on both the main and the natural, and Buka, well, he may not be able to see all of the natural, but he can infer what is going on over there. MCV's moving to the natural expansion at basically the same time for both players. Not really enough of a difference for anyone to worry about. MRTs with rocket squads. They did some good damage in game number 1, or in series number 1, but some of those games, they also didn't do much of anything. So we'll see if the old Pit Bull Wars develop, or if it's just going to be Pit Bulls and MRTs versus Predator tanks and infantry on the north side of the map. We can always hope that we get to see those late-game Zocom infantry, those unique Zocom upgrades coming into play, and not just Predator tanks. MRT is rocking up to the main base of Buka. The first bit of pressure applied by Futurama. And of course, the battle markers in the south side are still those riflemen inside of their foxholes. Buka pushes it back. Futurama immediately retreats. He's like, whoa! I don't think you'd have units. I just thought, you know, you'd give me a free win here. And of course, the MRTs might try and find a different angle. Buka is aware of this. He is cautious that there is going to be a second wave of this attack, and he's repositioned a lot of units to make sure that he has something to guard against that. This would be one of those opportunities where if Futurama had been doing this on purpose, he would then have like 3 Titans walking in from this back angle and just kill all of the harvesters. But he wasn't planning on that, so there are no Titans. There is no cross-map attack happening. And instead, Buka is kind of chasing ghosts, ends up kind of going nowhere. He did, I think he got an armory and he got some upgrades, but I'm not sure that it's necessarily going to help him. Tiberium field suits are here. No AP ammo just yet, but this is not a crazy number of rocket squads, and there were already 3 watchtowers ready to go when this battle started. Mines coming in at the natural expansion of Buka, but Buka is going on the offense with these Predator tanks versus the Titans. Watchtowers being traded out one after the other, and once it's Titan versus Predator tank, well, the Steel Talons player is going to be having a good time with that one. The rocket squads have pretty much all been eliminated. Buka needed to get some damage done. He needed to reset the tone and the pace of this series. When you are down 0-2 in a best of 5, you don't want to be doing even trades at your opponent's natural expansion. You need to get in there and do some damage. You need to take control of the game and reset this scoreline. Hammerhead's going to be showing up. They're going for the harvesters, but now they're going to be clearing out those rocket squads. That was 4, maybe 5 rocket squads there, and that just was not enough. AA battery deploys, but it's also out of power, and the Hammerhead's going to be crossing the middle of the map, bringing more and more Titans to the front line. One harvester gets crushed as one Titan falls. A second Titan gets eliminated, but every Steel Talons player knows that it's worth trading those 2 Titans to get the mental win of stomping on your opponent's harvesters. Not a lot of players have essentially a main battle tank that can crush their opponent's harvesters, but Steel Talons do. Their primary ground armor for the early game crushes those harvesters. Titans and Hammerheads are a powerful foe to deal with. Oh, Zocom Orcas, they are so bad at hitting moving targets. They do incredible damage, but they are so bad at hitting moving targets. MCV going to be heading over to that 3rd base. Futurama is already there. Refinery should be ready to go. And this is definitely a nice big 3rd field to work with. GG comes out. Slingshots were the answer. Buka wants to fight no more, and Futurama gets a clean sweep to advance into the semifinals. Buka put up a good fight in game number 1, but he just wasn't able to make it happen for the whole series. And I hope you're not tired of it, because we are back on Tournament Oasis for another game. Kicking it off as the pink black hand in the north, this is Lumos. And in the south, playing the red GDI, this is Hulk. Hulk versus Lumos. in our third quarterfinal of the event. If memory serves correctly, Bike Roshons was casting this event. He was not playing. So the only, well, not the only, a couple of the top players that we haven't yet seen, and I didn't actually check who all were the 8 players in the quarterfinals. We're missing Drive, Phoenix, Masterleaf, Senna. I'm probably missing 2 more players that just aren't coming to the top of mind. But we've already seen Dimitri, Futurama, Green 0. We've seen a number of players already. Okay, it's another Harvester coming on out. Things are looking very normal here in game number 1. So, not sure who's in the last quarterfinal, and then also there may be some people who got knocked out a little bit early. For example, if Drive and Futurama met in an earlier round, maybe Drive is still alive there in the lower bracket and tearing his way through, but we'll see. I did not bother to check who showed up for this event, who checked in, and who didn't, but I was just under the impression from Reminder, who sent me these replays, that Bike Roshons was live casting the event and not playing in it. So that kind of opens things up for the remaining participants to have them decide who's the best when Bike doesn't play. And of course, we've seen Drive and Futurama, Green 0, all go toe-to-toe with Bike Roshons in finals of tournaments. So it's not like those players are not formidable opponents in their own right. Lumos and Hulk, 2 players that we've seen here and there over the years. Not a ton of games from these 2 players on my channel, but we have seen them from time to time. And we do get to see a best of 5 with them today. And so far, one that is developing very normally. GDI versus Blackhand is a matchup we've seen many, many times, and so this early game kind of standard macro-oriented stuff that we're seeing from these players feels very rite of passage. These are 2 guys who probably have faced each other a number of times in scrims or random games online before, but maybe haven't run into each other in a tournament setting all that much. And so for the current moment, they're both putting their best foot forward, playing very standard, very straightforward, macro-oriented, all of the normal things. The only hiccup, I say that, we do have a slight hiccup, which is the MCV move over to the natural expansion, but it's a follow-up with a second war factory at the main base. The MCV hasn't been sold off, so this pressure is not a game ender necessarily. Decent number of pit bulls are here, and it looks like the refinery does deploy there at the natural expansion. So this bike buggy pressure is just a double war factory before third refinery. You've got that cash in the bank. You want to spend every single dollar on unit production. Well, that's the way to do it. Bikes are here. They're going to be able to kill a couple of pit bulls, and the pit bulls are now in diving range on these harvesters. We'll see if they actually go for it, if they just keep trading against the bikes, because that is what they are doing. 4 pit bulls going down in a tight cluster. The splash damage of those bikes can sometimes work against the GDI player. Harvester will take a little bit of damage here, down below half health, and this is enough pit bulls to finish it off. The focus fire does need to come through to finish off that harvester, but instead they're going to continue to trade against the bikes, clearing out those bikes, and now the harvester can be focused. Another couple of pit bulls rolling in, but a third harvester is taking damage. 2 harvesters very low on health, and honestly, it might be worth diving on that second harvester, which is being sent back to the front line. Somewhat surprisingly, before the pit bulls had actually retreated, and you would have lost a couple more pit bulls, but you would have got a second harvester kill, and that would have been worth it, I think, for Lumos, who's found himself expending a lot on the attack, but he also got a lot of those bikes in the exchange. Harvester from Lumos does manage to steal the blue Tiberium, and that's not a super early game harvester. He's already transferred a majority of his harvesters over to his natural, so grabbing that blue Tiberium now is a pretty good time to do it. Just some infantry walking through the Tiberium, taking a little bit of damage there. 2 random Scorpion tanks. Not exactly a hit squad that you would expect to see roll up to someone's natural expansion. 2 Scorpion tanks. But maybe they'll pull off a miracle here. AP Ammo has finished up. Meanwhile, in the north on the Nod side of the map, that Black Hand MCV is heading for a 3rd base. Or is he heading for a base push? Either way, it's going to be a 3rd location for that MCV to set up. No Orcas on the way just yet. Might be Hammerheads in a couple of moments because this is a lot of infantry, and having a couple of additional Hammerheads can be fantastic. But maybe it's too little too late because this Harvester has taken a lot of damage. The APC is starting to get picked off. 1 falls there. 2 manage to escape barely as the MCV deploys a Hand of Nod, and this is now going to be free blue Tiberium for the Nod player. Well, 1 Harvester does go down. The rest of the Harvesters do survive, but the Pit Bulls aren't very far away. Watchtowers getting deployed. You really need more than just 1 Watchtower. Zone Troopers. Okay, I thought it was going to be a bunch of riflemen out of the barracks, but no, it's going to be Zone Troopers into the Hammerhead, and it's going to be more and more Watchtowers, I have to imagine, coming out from Hulk. Hammerhead does get pushed away a little bit. Refinery goes down almost immediately below half health due to those Black Disciples, and it's going to be another Watchtower to draw the fire, try and extend the life of this Harvester and Refinery, but the Refinery goes down, and now the Juggernauts are here. The MCV showing up, but at the same time, there is an attack at the natural expansion of Lumos. Juggernaut is going to have to back up. Bye-bye to that front line of Hulk. He's going to have to do something because his MCV is completely exposed and the flames are now on it, burning it down, but buying more time. As the laser fence falls, so does the MCV because the man spam will not stop. The infantry hordes just keep coming as the Harvesters fall 1 by 1, and the Watchtowers are all that remains between this infantry and annihilation of the Juggernaut and the remaining Harvesters. Black Disciples burn those buildings so quickly, and that's the GG that comes out as it looks like Lumos finds his first win here against Hulk and gets the kill against the GDI. Well, let's run it back one more time and let's see if the result is any different. That's what both these players are saying as they load into Extraction Plateau with the same factions and even the same colors as game number 1. We'll see if there can be a difference made on the Hulk side of the map, because this fellow in the south, Lumos, is going to be very happy if it goes just like game 1. Maybe it was a little bit hairy. Maybe there was a few extra mistakes, but in the end, Lumos got the win, and, well, it's Black Hand versus GDI once again. This map, I feel like the games, they almost always turn a little bit sideways. There's a decent distance between your main and your natural, no matter which direction you go. Black Hand Flame Tank Rush coming in, by the way. And then getting to your third is also kind of weird, again, no matter which direction you choose. And so it always feels like the games on this map, either from the beginning or somewhere in the mid-game, they turn crazy, they turn weird. Is this just 2 Black Hand squads? So I guess it's not a Flame Tank Rush. It's just a Reckoner. I don't think there's a Flame Tank moving around the map, and I'm just not seeing it. But, you know, a Reckoner can still do a pretty serious amount of damage, especially if your opponent is not ready for it. And I don't think it has been spotted. This Pit Bull is going to take the correct scouting path. Maybe. Oh, just wrong. As the Pit Bull needs to turn around right now, but it's not. It's just not. Oh, Ooh, he's not even going for the MCV. He's going for the plant on the refinery and the war factory, which will give that Pitbull one additional shot, but it's going to be a Harvester coming out after that. Harvester number 5, and that's a dead war factory and a pretty much guaranteed dead refinery as well. The cross map isn't really going to happen. 1-2 Pitbulls don't have the same base killing potential as a double flame reckoner. The MCV will survive. The third base, or the natural expansion, can be built, but almost what does that matter when your main base... Oh, that might be in range. Is that in range? I guess that's not. He could flame down the rifleman squads and then go for the... That's in range! No! Put it at the natural! Oh, no! Lumos brutalizing Hulk here in game number 2. Game 1, you know, maybe it was sloppy, maybe it had its problems, but game 2 is devastation for Hulk. Lumos is taking no prisoners, Lumos is giving no quarter, and this Predator tank is not even particularly fast about crushing these Black Hand squads. He will eventually... No, there's a Scorpion tank as well! 2 Scorpion tanks! So, I mean, you know, you can say it's not technically over till it's over, but boy, is this game over as this MCV falls below 25% health, as the Watchtowers do their best to clear out the last of these Black Hand squads. And that guy goes heroic right at the last second, has to sell off one of the Watchtowers, and it almost doesn't even matter if he kills the MCV here. He has done so much damage. Other than that, he has his own natural expansion coming up as well. He just... Everything is going in the Lumos' favor. Hulk is devastated. He has so much cash, man. If he could refine all of this, and also he had more than just an airfield, this could be massive. Maybe if he had 3 airfields, you could say there is something going on there, but no, that was absolute devastation of Hulk in game number 2. And Lumos is looking to make this a 3-0. Hulk has one last chance to stop him. Well, if you can't beat him, join him. And I'm not just talking about the fact that we are spawning here on Tournament Highlands. I'm also talking about the fact that playing as the Steel Talons, this is Lumos, and switching it up to Black Hand for game number 3. This is Hulk. I'm actually really surprised Lumos also swapped his faction. I thought Lumos would stick in the Nod universe, but nope, he full switched. So Hulk, I get it. Okay, tried this GDI thing. We played a macro game. I lost. We played... not macro game. I got rushed in game number 2, so like maybe I switch it up. I don't play GDI anymore, but Lumos playing Steel Talons versus a Black Hand player. Not a traditionally strong matchup for Steel Talons, but Black Hand tends to be weaker in the late game. Steel Talons has a really strong late game with behemoths and mammoths and titans, but, you know, maybe they're a little bit weak on the infantry side of things. But, I mean, people love their lines of artillery, so maybe it can kind of work out. Flame tank gets spotted immediately. Well, this is what you want. You want to be able to spot that flame tank right from the beginning. Lumos has done that. You do want to keep the Pitbull alive so that you can harass this flame tank all the way across the map. And we'll see how Lumos does defending a flame rush. Now, the difference is he saw this one coming. Hulk did not see that flame rush coming in that last game. And Hulk made a couple of mistakes there that I'm sure he is kicking himself for. But, of course, in a tournament, you cannot let that affect you. You have to steel yourself and get ready for the next match. Just pretend that everything went perfect in that last game and bring your A game to the next one. Second flame tank in the south. All right, Lumos is going to back off. So he's not going to try and dive with the Pitbulls. He's not going to try and get the guaranteed kill on the flame tank. He's fine with just sort of scaring it away for now. And, well, this is 3 flame tanks that are out on the map. Riflemen going for the scout. They're hunting. They're looking for all of the typical flame tank spots that you would expect to see a flame tank at. And they haven't quite found it, but they are ready and waiting. Here we go. Flame tank spots them. That's a dead rifleman squad, but that is also a sounded alarm. And, of course, Titans can insta-crush the flame tank. So if they get up close and personal, then that will be a very dead flame tank very quickly. And that has its own kind of advantage. Pitbull's hunting this flame tank in the south. Maybe one Pitbull dies? No Pitbulls die. There you go, one Pitbull. Oh, extremely low on health. Incredibly close to death, and yet not dead. Black Disciples have finished up, so Hulk kind of showing his hand here. It doesn't, necessarily mean it's an MCV sell all in or anything like that, but you know that he's going aggressive if he's got Black Disciples that early. You don't necessarily know all of the bits and pieces. Does he have 2 refineries? All of that. But in this case, it is going to be a pack up, move across the map. We are heading for the hills. We are ending this game pretty darn quick. This is a very aggressive start to game number 3, and I respect it from Hulk. I love that he's going super aggressive. He is throwing everything he's got at him, and I just wish he was a little bit faster in killing those tib spikes. If he had killed those tib spikes 30, 40, 60 seconds ago, that would have been much, much better, but we'll take what we can get. Triple watchtower is here. AP ammo is undoubtedly on the way. 3rd refinery is up here at the natural expansion. So this is a well-established Lumos that has to be broken here by Hulk. Laser turret included with this attack. Pitbull's just healing through the damage. These flame tanks need to get on top of these buildings, but they just can't. They're a little bit scared. They're a little bit timid as AP ammo has now finished up. And man, that laser turret takes a lot of damage very, very quickly. War Factory will go down to half health, but that is just not enough versus Lumos. He is too well established for a half health War Factory to be enough, but everything has collapsed for Hulk. He's down below $1,000 in the bank, and he doesn't even have the production. If he had the cash on hand, it wouldn't really make much of a difference. And his MCV can't pack up and leave from this point on. So it is do or die, and it looks like the answer is going to be die. Hulk will continue his run in the lower bracket, barring the most incredible miracle reverse sweep that we have ever seen in Command & Conquer. From this point to reverse sweep would be truly, truly amazing. He might get a Titan kill here. He does get a Titan kill, so it's not a perfect game by Lumos. He does lose a couple of units here, but the GG comes out. Hulk will fall down to the lower bracket, and Lumos will advance into the semifinals. And that will send us crashing back to Tournament Oasis for our 4th quarterfinal series. We've got our 4th best of 5. We have made it to the end of the quarterfinals, but not the end of this series. This is just the beginning of the match between the Yellow Traveler in the north. This is Masterleaf. And in the south, the Cyan Marked of Kane. This is Shock Trepet. Shock Trepet and Masterleaf. That is not a matchup we get very often. I'm suddenly wondering, have we actually ever seen Masterleaf versus Shock Trepet, at least on my channel? And I think we have, but I could not point you to a single time when it has happened. The only thing that comes to mind is probably an East versus West. They either matched up in a 1v1 or a 2v2. But it's been a little bit of a while since we've seen these guys, if we've seen them together at all. Masterleaf, of course, a master of Kane's Wrath, both on the playing Traveler 59 in particular, but playing the Skrin factions, and then also modifying the game, because of course Masterleaf has been the lead on the 1.02 Plus project, so when we say he wrote the book on it, he basically did write the book. He basically made the balance changes that are being played right now. So if anyone knows all of the things about Kane's Wrath, at least competitively, it is going to be Master Leaf. Perfectly unfortunate timing there on that EMP of the refinery. Oh, actually, no, he did disrupt a harvester, so that does disrupt Master Leaf's income by a little bit. It's not a huge disruption, of course. It doesn't really change the course of things, but it does disrupt your opening build, and a lot of times the opening builds are very tied down to being able to execute certain aspects quickly enough, which is why you see players micro their harvesters to save a half second on every single trip that this harvester takes. You're improving your efficiency on every harvester by a couple of percentage. It adds up a lot in the beginning of the game, and then as the game progresses, it matters a little bit less. So throwing off the early game can be quite disruptive, but it's obviously not too disruptive because Master Leaf has got a lightning spike, got a couple of seeker tanks as well, and he's about to get a harvester kill. He has committed for the attack, so he may lose a couple of these seeker tanks, but that's going to be worth it because that's a natural expansion harvester dead. This is a refinery without any working units. A scorpion tank goes down as well. And when you're playing Scrin, you're expecting to lose the units. Your early game units just have less health. He's going to stick. Why are you sticking around? Just get out of there. That was maybe a little bit greedy trying to go for an extra kill on a scorpion tank there. And it looks like he will pay the price in the form of this gunwalker. But perhaps stealing the blue Tiberium will make up for it. That is a full load of blue Tiberium that Master Leaf has snuck away from the middle of the map. Love the EMPs from Shock Trepet. Again, a little 5% here or there. It sometimes does add up to be a big difference. And weakening a harvester is also quite nice for Master Leaf. Weakening it to come by a little bit later and finish it off can be quite a powerful thing. Stasis Chamber is up. Advanced Articulators has started upgrading, and eventually these units will break down this Lightning Spike. For now, the Lightning Spike and the Repair Drones are just having a war over these units, one healing and one damaging very slightly these units, but it is also keeping these units busy, keeping Shock Trepet on the Shock Trepet side of the map. And as these harvesters get ready to transfer over to the natural expansion, Master Leaf is thinking about, maybe I want some of those harvesters for myself. Maybe I want to kill some of them. Maybe I just want to bring them home to meet the family. In either case, disintegrators and cultists will be there to witness it. Or maybe not. Maybe everyone will turn around and go home, and we'll just call off this attack that is currently posturing. Master Leaf mounts the defense, and Shock Trepet just backs off. Okay, so maybe not Shock Trepet's best attack plan. He does put the pressure onto Master Leaf. He does end up backing off, and okay, Venoms are now out. When you're going up against Traveler 59, you're going to need those Venoms. Wow, he is pooling these really far over into the corner of the map. He is hiding them, and we do have supercharged particle beams on the way. Well, not a guarantee, but almost certainly. With cultists, with descents, with, of course, the Prodigy being a threat. I don't know that the Prodigy has actually emerged, but it's always a threat when you're up against Traveler 59 player. Plasma Missile Battery is here. So Master Leaf spotted the Venoms. He knows what's up. And he also Plasma Missile Batteries. Not even the Tier 3. Not so worried about that. You know, no Vertigo Bombers going for a building. Nothing like that. But instead, he knows what to protect. That's the barracks, the portal. He needs to keep those infantry safe from the Venoms, especially because their laser beams are going to be done upgrading pretty soon. Dozer Blades have finished up, and that is one dead refinery. A couple of harvesters taking a bit of damage, but not very much. Just the refinery goes down. The harvesters are fairly safe. Shard launchers have been upgraded, And this is a late game. Both players have reached the late game of tech. We'll see which one of them handles it better. Eradicator Hexapod out on the field. Masterleaf getting some damage to these main base harvesters. And it looks like the Prodigy does get sniped there by the Venoms. They do manage to find a kill. But it's going to be a Tier 3 traded back. This Eradicator Hexapod, he may be alone and isolated, but Masterleaf is confident that he can get him away. Disintegrators inside of that Eradicator, they do massive damage to anything that gets close. And these units in the main base haven't been dealt with. They haven't been cleaned up. So Masterleaf, he may have a bit of a army that's on the other side of the map, but he's killing 2 bases at once. So it almost doesn't matter if one of them doesn't do massive damage because he's still got double trouble. He's still got damage going in 2 different sectors of the map at once. Repair drones get called in, going to give a little bit of life back to this Eradicator Hexapod as it gets EMP'd a second time, and actually the phase will save it. You don't even need the Prodigy to blink it back home. You don't even need the Corruptors to follow along and heal it. The main base has been wiped clean, and well, that will be it. Shock Trepet taps out just after 8 minutes. Masterleaf gets the win in game number 1. Let's run it back one last time on to Tournament Highlands. And, well, nothing else has really changed between these 2 players. It's again Marked of Kane versus Traveler 59. Masterleaf with a pretty confident shutdown of Shock Trepet there in game number 1. We made it to the late game. There wasn't all that much craziness early on, but once we got to the late game, it was all Masterleaf, baby. He found the weakness, and then he just exploited it, and Shock Trepet seemed like he had a decent foundation, but he was not at all ready for the Eradicator Hexapod and the Mechapetes. The first part of the attack he could have dealt with. He had the units to deal with the Cultists, the Descents, the Prodigy, and he would have eventually dealt with that attack that hit his main base. But not the Eradicator as well. Maybe he even could have dealt with the Eradicator if he didn't have to deal with that stuff at his main base, killing, what was that, 2, 3, 4 harvesters, plus a couple of refineries, plus some infrastructure. Either side of that he could have dealt with, but not both sides together, and Masterleaf just runs away with a crushing victory in game number 1. That's the power of Traveler 59. That's the power of Masterleaf. When you don't harass him, when you don't slow him down, when you let him do what he wants. Now, of course, Shock Trepet, he's got an opportunity here to kick it into high gear for game number 2. I was secretly hoping that we would get to see a little flame rush, but we don't. No flame rush. It's just double refinery, war factory, 3 power plants, and the expand. As straightforward as you could ask for, especially from a Marked of Kane player who doesn't have flame tanks. That's the thing, is like, you're always thinking, oh, Nod, flames, stealth, all of that stuff. But of course, Marked of Kane, they're the Tiberium odd ones out. So no flame rushes here, no crazy EMP plays either. But the flame rush wishes are dead, at least in this series, if Shock Trepet continues to play Marked of Kane. Secret tanks hunting around the middle of the map. Bike buggy is here. They're going to be able to trade some blows, but the first bike already goes down. The Gunwalker will now fall. EMPs would be fantastic to be combined with this attack, but it's, a bunch of dead, it's a bunch of dead Awakened squads, so they can't really get the EMPs after they've gone into the grave. The bikes help clean up the rest of the Secret tanks, and nice micro by Shock Trepet, nice unit control, rather, by Shock Trepet to keep his bikes alive. Would love to see The snipe on those tib spikes deny Masterleaf any further income. Once again, Masterleaf does steal the blue Tiberium. This is going to be a tier 3 Scrin player once again. I don't know that he has the shard launcher upgrade yet. No, he does not. Okay, so he didn't rush shard launchers. He hasn't even started it. He hasn't really tipped his hand in that way, but he does have Mechapedes showing, and shard mechas will absolutely shred Bike Buggy as soon as they can close the distance. And in this case, you know, Shock Trepet will come to him, so Masterleaf is just playing a little bit of a waiting game. Couple of shots into the power plant, and then try to escape. The first bike ends up going down, and Masterleaf has delayed his expansion a huge amount to get this out. This is a one-base Traveler player. This is not a natural expansion, you know, slowly building into Tier 3. This was a rush to Tier 3, a quick Prodigy as well, with the MCV move. So he is ready to go into a natural expansion, but that was not his plan, not from the beginning of the game. And if you don't have an air tower, it's going to be that much harder to stop this Prodigy. Mechapedes are here. This might just be to keep the army busy, keep them distracted, and keep them from focusing on the Prodigy. Prodigy might try and sneak inside, jump forward, and grab the MCV. No, he's going for the War Factory. He misses the Scorpion tank, but he does get 2 more with the area mind control. And now the Harvesters are under threat, but they won't last too much. Those descents won't last too much longer, as Masterleaf turns the forces of Shock Trepet against him, and that area mind control should be wearing off very soon here, as Masterleaf's Mechapedes get what they asked for. They get what they came for, and that is just killing Scorpion tanks. Finally, the Mechapede does go down, the slow field comes in, and for now the Prodigy has escaped. Mechapede's going to be reforming the front line, and that Prodigy taking a little bit of extra damage. Might go for the blink forward, go for the MCV, and that's the target. Nope, maybe the Tier 3 instead. Thank you and good night. And he goes for the Storm Column as well, adding insult to injury here as the Storm Column deploys, and the Prodigy goes in one last time to cause a little bit more mayhem. Triple Scorpion tank got grabbed there. Masterleaf wants the 2-0. He does not want to wait around and go slow here in game number 2. The Prodigy goes down, but with it falls Shock Trepet's hopes. The Commando may be dead, but Masterleaf is far from dead in this game. Storm Column gets eliminated. War Factory Tier 3 reset here by Masterleaf. And Masterleaf's economy maybe not doing so hot, but he is still at 11k per minute. He has a respectable economy underneath him. He's just not necessarily flying as high as he would like. He is going to just do the same thing again. It's looking like Mechapedes once again. Prodigy moving out as well. He's got the Prodigy, the Descents. It might just be the same exact play all over again. This time, there will be Venoms. And maybe Supercharged Particle Beam as well, just to kill off that Prodigy that much more quickly. Masterleaf has bought himself a huge window and a huge opportunity to do whatever he wants. Part of that is going to be just reestablishing his economy. He did sacrifice his natural expansion to pull that attack off. And of course, Shock Trepet has spent most of his natural expansion defending and rebuilding from that attack. So these two things are not equal. Shock Trepet, he's going to be running out of cash pretty darn soon, and he's going to need the Redeemer and a third base to fuel him into the future. Masterleaf, on the other hand, he's pretty comfortable on his natural expansion. He's going to be able to get everything that he wants from the rest of the game on this natural expansion. Avatars are out. Good to see avatars. Good to see a couple of Scorpion tanks still rolling around as this Redeemer steps out onto the field. Venom's getting caught by the disc mechas, keeping that Prodigy safe at least for now. Harvester is actually going to end up spotting this Prodigy. The Prodigy just kind of misses. There's the blink forward or the blink back, one way or the other. The Prodigy does manage to escape the Venoms once again, drawing them into the discs of the mechas and eliminating a couple more Venoms from the equation. Eradicator Hexpod moments away from finishing, and Masterleaf hasn't been doing the Corruptor Eradicator Hexalame combo. He's just been... I mean, we've only seen this Harvester. Oh no! As soon as the stealth reveal happened, it is just infinite discs crashing into that Harvester. I was like, wow, that Harvester almost got away with a heist, but no, he did not. Not even remotely. Anyways, it hasn't been Corruptors going with that Eradicator. Oh, Catalyst Missile lands on the refinery. Tags the Harvester a little bit there, and Scorpion Tank sneaking into the back line will find a Harvester kill. Barely, they don't get it. Oh, it's so low, but the Scorpions are getting eaten up as well, and the Harvester just gets back to work. The Corruptors will heal up that Harvester, and now they are ready to help out that Eradicator as well. The Prodigy gets sniped once again. Nicely done by Shock Trepet. I am starting to believe Shock Trepet has handled the early game so well, and now it kind of doesn't matter. We've made it past the 10-minute mark. Both players have a well-established economy. They have a well-established base, so it kind of doesn't matter. Masterleaf was in the better position, but his economy never roared to life in a way that let him end the game quickly, and as a result, Masterleaf does steal a couple of Tib spikes away from his opponent. Yeah, he actually has all 4 Tiberium spikes now. So that is a bit frustrating for Shock Trepet, the fact that he lost both of his Tib spikes. But we do, and he lost the Engineer as well. But we do have Enlightened Squads, Tib Troopers, Avatars, and a Redeemer here ready to go. Rage Gen fires off, maybe a little too late there. One Corruptor dies, a second Corruptor goes down, third Corruptor gets eliminated, and, well, the Venoms get chased by those Mechapedes. The Venoms just running for their lives as they try and get away from those Mechas. Just a Tib Trooper inside of the Redeemer. No Engineer. I would have loved to see a double Engineer in this Redeemer. I'm not sure that the Tib Trooper is really the value that you want in a Redeemer. EMP does land. Would love if there was some kind of artillery to go with this, but we'll see what he's able to do with the Enlightened Squads. This could be chain EMPs. Never mind. Call it off. Back home. Stop. Just stop. Kill the Corruptors if you can. Vertigo Bombers would be amazing, but now we've already got the Plasma Missile Batteries on the front line. Mind Control on that. Tib Trooper going for the area mind control on the Avatars as well, and he steals them away so that he can kill them himself and then reclaim the husks, denying Shock Trepet at every turn as the packs show up to the front line. And Masterleaf says, you may have been ahead on economy minutes ago, but it just doesn't matter here. It just doesn't matter now. I have packs and you do not. Shock Trepet is going to have to find a way to battle the mind control, the packs, the Eradicator, and the teleportation all at once. And it's doable, but it is not easy as his Harvesters come to the front line and his Redeemer looks for an angle to try and do something against this army. Rage Gen will fire off. Most of the units have already been given their attack commands. Maybe a couple of Corruptors will pay the price for it as these Avatars get a couple of shots against this Eradicator, but I'm just not worried about it as the Redeemer falls to the packs and the Devastator warships, and this Prodigy Eradicator combo seems unbeatable by Masterleaf. He just causes so many problems for Shock Trepet. An Avatar falls, and finally an EMP lands on this Eradicator, down to a quarter health, and finally with the rear armor exposed, he can get the kill. That's what he's been looking for. Pax getting targeted. This is not enough Venoms, though. They can't keep this going forever, especially not with the plasma missile batteries there. They head forward to their doom. They die in the sky, leaving the Avatars all alone. And of course, the Prodigy is still out there somewhere looking for the angle, looking to come back in on this attack. And the Pax haven't been stopped. The War Factory is now on the front line. The Harvesters in more and more danger every moment that goes by. That's a very dead War Factory, and that is a dead SAM site as well. Tib Core Missile is good, but it's not enough versus all these packs as Shock Trepet gets pushed further and further back. Master Leaf creates more and more space for his army to play, and he takes over more and more of the middle of the map. It was a good attempt by Shock Trepet, but it will be as it started. Master Leaf had the upper hand, and Master Leaf will end with the upper hand. And, well, I think there might be some unit counting going on here with, I think the packs maybe count as additional units, because that is an absolutely insane unit count discrepancy between these two players. Between, I guess, like, buzzers and infantry, and then the packs, probably really boosting Master Leaf's numbers there. But that will do it for game number 2. Master Leaf is looking impressive. You've seen Tournament Rift. You've seen Tiberium Rift. But those are imitators. Those are not originators. Welcome to the Rift. This is it. When people say Tiberium Rift or Tournament Rift, this is the Rift that they are derived from. Which, of course, this is a community-made map, and as far as I know, it's not based on, like, a historical Command & Conquer map. And I think Tournament Rift, well, Tournament Desert is quite old. Maybe Tournament Rift is newer. I'm trying to remember if there is a, like, Tib Dawn map called Tournament Rift. At any rate, it is once again Traveler 59 versus Mark of Kane. It hasn't worked out for Shock Trepet 2 games in a row, but he's going to try it one more time. Tib Spikes get grabbed by Master Leaf, but will either player go for the ultimate hero or troll move, depending on your perspective, and go for the Mutant Hovel? We can always hope. We can always dream. But also, you know, we understand when players don't go for it. Okay. No flames for Shock Trepet. No switch up for either player. It is the same thing again. And the map being different needs to yield a very different type of game for Shock Trepet. He needs to do something to knock Master Leaf off his perch, to knock Master Leaf off his game, because Shock Trepet is on the edge for the rest of this series. This and the next 2 games will all be match point for Master Leaf. Buzzer goes for the scout, and the buggy will shut down that buzzer, but this is the perfect confirmation scout for Master Leaf. Not that it's like some brilliant move, but Master Leaf sees everything that he needs to see. So it's perfect in the sense of it gets him the confirmation of the exact game state of Shock Trepet. He already has an idea of what should and shouldn't be there, and when he sees it, he's like, all right, we have gone down from a small list of possibilities of what could possibly be happening in this game, and we've collapsed them all the way down to 0. There is 1. There is one path that was taken, and I know exactly what it was. And in this case, Shock Trepet goes for the third refinery at the natural expansion. He does also spot the descents coming out of the portal. He knows that this is a possibility. He sees the third refinery, and he's like, okay, it's not a rush to tech, but Master Leaf has gone relatively quick tech both of the last games, especially that last game. He won base teched, and we know it's not that, but it's still going to be portal units heading my way. I'm going to need something to deal with the infantry of Master Leaf, and I'm going to need it soon. Disintegrators and seeker tanks, for now, they're just kind of covering the steel of the blue Tiberium. I genuinely thought Master Leaf was going to keep pushing there, that he was going to... Oh, no, don't send it back! Don't send it back! Master Leaf was probably hoping to take this blue Tiberium with that push, but because Shock Trepet already got it, there isn't much for Master Leaf to take. And so Master Leaf did end up backing off. I did think Master Leaf was going to go for that attack, go a little deeper. Oh, this is just a big waste of time for Shock Trepet. He's spending so much time driving back there because he did not manually control his harvester and tell it to not return to the blue Tiberium. And as a result, he is just wasting a huge amount of time. Buzzers do manage to get the kill on those Awakened squads. And Master Leaf, he's got that third refinery, but he has delayed a fourth refinery by a huge amount. And that is, of course, because he went command post, or he went nerve center, he went tier 3, and now he has got himself a prodigy, and that is where he wants to be. Seeker Tanks, Gunwalker is going to be showing up to this natural expansion, but this is just sort of the first act. This is the distraction play because the Prodigy is coming in, and that is what is going to cause even more chaos and even more problems for Shock Trepet. There's the blink forward, and that's the goodbye to the tier 3. $2,000 into the bank account of Master Leaf, and the denial of the tier 3, the shutdown of any kind of Reckoner construction, and a Harvester kill to boot. So Master Leaf finds the damage in the main, he finds the damage in the natural, and he gets the reset on the tech, which is what he really wanted to do. It's never a good thing to have your tech reset like that, and on top of that, losing harvesters, having to deal with these attacks, it's just not good. There's the blink forward, and these Venoms aren't even ready. The MCV gets captured and sold. Call for transport accidentally gets triggered there. As the engineer gets killed, so does the Prodigy, but Master Leaf has done more than is needed. As the GG comes out and Shock Trepet taps out of game number 3, Master Leaf gets the win and secures his spot in the semifinals of the April Strike. The coverage will continue in the future. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the quarterfinals. We're going to be jumping into the semifinals, and we're also going to be covering the lower bracket as well in the future. Thank you all very much for watching, and this is Sybert signing out.